We ended this program last night counting down to a postal strike deadline, one that came and went at midnight without unionized Canada Post workers walking off the job. Instead, they instituted a nationwide overtime ban after meeting with the Crown Corporation and a federal mediator. Why couldn't a deal be reached? What can we glean from the union's decision to halt overtime but not launch a full strike? Joining us now in the studio is Jim Gallant. He's a negotiator for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. Jim, thank you so much for being here. Let's start there. Why the decision not to implement an all-out strike and take limited strike action?
Well, we had asked Canada Post to have a truce of 2 weeks, and so we'd have an opportunity to look at their offer that they had put in a day before. And we need time to look at that. It's about 750 pages. Collective agreements in Canada are legal documents. You need to figure out where the commas and the periods are in a sentence to make sure it means what it means. So we needed that time, and we needed time to reply. We replied on a few issues last night at a hotel, and there's a plan to meet tomorrow and Sunday, I believe. We haven't met today, but the union has spent the day making sure that we're ready to get together to deal with the issues of tomorrow. The truce that we asked for, Canada Post refused it, and we end up in this situation where there's a countdown to midnight, and instead we did our overtime ban, and that was the least impact to Canadian public we could make, and the least impact to our members. Some members work overtime, but at least everybody be making their regular pay. And if Canada Post had agreed to the truce, there wouldn't have been this countdown, and we wouldn't have had to make that announcement. So, but it's their modus operandi. That's what they do, and that puts pressure on customers, and it pushes people away.
You could have done both, though. You could have implemented a full strike and also reviewed this contract. And so is this your way of trying to uphold the truce that you offered, even if it's a lesser extent of that? Yeah,
we're the adult in the room. That's exactly what we're doing is we made it so Canadians aren't going to suffer in any way today. Most of the mail went out today to addresses, but even still, because Canada Post didn't necessarily know what we were going to do, there were places where they had the mail somewhere else, and communities didn't get their mail today. But every one of our workers was at work.
Where do you go from here? Because the way Canada Post is framing last night's meeting is that it was marginal issues that were discussed, nothing of particular significance when it came to the big issues preventing a deal. I know you're meeting tomorrow, but those big issues that have been preventing a deal have been preventing a deal for well over a year at this point in time. And so if we're still not touching on those, assuming you take that framing, how do you move forward that isn't a full-on strike?
Well, I would disagree with the categorization of that. Mr. Hamilton is going to come out here and speak. He wasn't at the meeting last night. I wasn't at the meeting last night myself, but I have people that I've been at all those meetings other than last night. And when Canada Post put out their statements, they did not say who was making the statement. It's just a Canada Post spokesperson. Well, I'd love to know who they are and where they got their information, because the union put movement to the corporation last night, and we felt that there was significant movement, and that's going to lead to tomorrow. We're working on what we put to them last night and other issues, and tomorrow there's going to be more meetings. So that seems significant to the union, but Canada Post continues to frame it as it's not enough, it's not significant, all those things. It's not helpful to get a deal done to keep complaining about it.
Some are going to look at the lack of full strike action. They're going to look at the fact that you're still looking over this new deal and wonder if perhaps this is the union taking a step back from some of its asks. Are you accepting concessions here? Are you willing to accept any concessions in finding that new deal?
It's a give and take. There's no doubt of that. Like when you say concessions, it depends on the size of the concession, I guess, if you're going to take any, and what you categorize as a concession. Things like there's one category out there that Canada Post is trying to make it so people that come in get hired tomorrow will have a different reality than the people that work there today. we've taken on that fight since maternity leave. When we put maternity leave into our collective agreement, and Canadians benefited from that afterwards. There was a male-dominated workforce that took on the fact that women couldn't keep their job when they had a child. So those are the sorts of things. The same thing now. They want to make somebody's pension that they have to work longer, that they have to wait to get into that pension plan. We're not going to deal with those issues. Those are things that we cannot concede on.
Jim, I have to leave it there. Appreciate your time. Jim Gallant, negotiator for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers.